Hey, Fragrance Family, I'm Daver.
And I'm 860 Cologne.
And we're the Fragrance Bros. Coming at you again with another review with special guest Jason from 860 Cologne. How are you doing, Jason?
Good, how are you?
Doing great. Thanks again for coming on. It's really great having you on, Jason.
My pleasure, as always.
And today we are reviewing L'Homme Idéal, or Ideal, from Guerlain. So let's get straight to it. Date introduced is 2014. It's classified as a woody aromatic. Notes are citruses, rosemary, orange blossom, bitter orange, almond, tonka, leather, cedar, and vetiver. Now, Jason, what'd you get out of longevity out of this?
Longevity was pretty decent. I'd say about 6 hours on me.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say mine was in the average range. I would say it was around 6 to 8, something like that on me. What about projection?
It was on the low side for me. For the first hour or so, it's pretty good. Then after that, it kind of stays a little bit close to the skin. Still noticeable, but a little bit close.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say overall it was in the average range for me, but I do see what you're saying. I think that especially towards the end of the life, it does become kind of just a skin scent. It kind of headed there quicker than I thought it was going to. Season, I would say this is fall. This is fall all day long.
Yeah, I agree. It kind of reminds you of, like, you know, the leaves falling off the trees. It's not quite ultimate fall like Burberry London, but it's approaching there. It's in that family, I'd say.
Purpose, I would say this is great for casual. I think this is good for work, and I think this would even work for a date. Now, Jason, what does this remind you of?
I think, like you said, is more of that fall, but it does have that Guerlain seed. That, you know, I can definitely get the Guerlain homme in there with a little bit of almond. Honestly, I think what it reminded me a lot of is, like, you know, if I go in TJ Maxx and I'm looking at, like, a lot of their soaps, and there's always almond soaps, which I really like. And because of the almond in this one, I kind of got, I always buy almond soap, so I kind of get that feeling to it, but in a much stepped up, more classy way. I don't think it's like a lowered Bath and Body Works fragrance. That's not really that lowered. I mean, some of those are actually kind of decent, but it kind of just reminded me of that fun type of fragrance.
Yeah, I totally get what you mean. For me, you know, Guerlain is a great house. I mean, it is a really old perfume house. But for me, a lot of their male scents are hit or miss. And I don't think that they always get it just right. I think Guerlain Homme is great. It's one of my favorites. L'Instant de Guerlain Extreme is also very good. This one to me didn't really hit there. It didn't really hit the height that I was expecting from a prestigious perfume house like Guerlain. When I looked at the notes and I smelled the fragrance, I thought I had a different fragrance altogether because I didn't really get much of the notes that were on paper. I do get kind of the almond smell, kind of like a toast, almost like a toasted almond type thing.
Yeah.
I do see what you mean, especially about the connection to Guerlain Homme, because I smell patchouli in here. They don't list that in here. And Guerlain Homme has a definite prominent patchouli note in there. But it almost seemed like a different fragrance whenever I smell the two. And, you know, I don't really get any leather. I don't really get any vetiver. I definitely get tonka, and I definitely get almond, and I get cedar, and that's about it.
I think this vetiver is a more light vetiver that's kind of like just in there to mix things up. I think the vetiver and the cedar can be confused because, to me, if I get any vetiver, it's just adding a note of dryness, just adding an air of dryness to this, which I think the cedar also does. I think we got, you know, the almond, the cedar, even the tonka to a certain extent, and the vetiver are kind of all doing the same thing, so we may not be able to differentiate too much from them, except for the almond, I think, is the one that sticks out the most.
One scent that this really reminds me of whenever I smell this, immediate connection, reminds me of Pure Havane by Thierry Mugler. And it reminds me of that a lot. Like a lot. The problem that I have with that connection is that it doesn't quite commit like Pure Havane does. Like, it doesn't have the highs and the lows that Pure Havane does. Pure Havane has that cherry, it has a deeper vanilla note in there. This doesn't have that. So it kind of almost seems like a cutout version of Pure Havane. It's still really nice. I think this is a really nice fragrance.
Yeah.
But because of that connection, it kind of loses a little bit of magic and specialness in my eyes.
Yeah, I can totally agree with that. As you mentioned, Pure Havana, I was trying to dig into my cabinet and try to find mine to compare it, but I can't seem to find it, so people are like wondering, why is he leaning forward? But yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that. And Pure Havana is a well-blended and well-done fragrance.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give L'Homme Ideal, it's well-blended, but it's lacking something, because that cherry, that sweet, fruity note in the Pure Havana, I think is really what distinguishes it from a different fragrance like this.
It's a very nutty, woody, semi-sweet, and masculine scent. I think that's great for fall. I think it's a really good scent on its own. If I were to smell this before I smelled Pure Havana, I would really like this scent. But then if Pure Havana came, I would be like, I'd be over the moon all over again. Because of that comparison, it's not quite as good to me, but it is still on its own a good scent.
And I think one of the things that I'm doing with this one, since I got this one at duty free at the 3.4 ounce for like $60, and I tend to like fragrances that I get cheaply. I tend to give them a little bit more gravitas or whatever, and I gotta remind myself, okay, let's not judge it on the deal that I got. Let's judge it on how it smells. And I do like how it smells.
Yeah.
But it's not love. I love the price. I like the product.
Now, what about compliments? Did you get many compliments while wearing this?
A few. Yeah, it seemed to have a decent sillage. It seemed to waft around a little bit, and a few people commented how it was a nice fragrance. It's definitely got some class, that's for sure. Yeah. So that's a nice thing. But it wasn't, stop you in the street and say, "Oh my God, what are you wearing?" But it was decent.
My wife likes it. Whenever I let her smell it, I could see that her wheels turning in her head, and I was like, "It smells like Pure Havana." She's like, "That's it." So she got the connection because I wear Pure Havana a lot during the fall. Other people that smelled it thought it smelled nice, and I agree with them. It is very nice. But I totally get what you mean. It is a classy scent, but it's missing something. Bang for buck, you can get this for about $60 on FragranceNet for 100 ml. And that's a great deal. That's on par with what you paid on at duty free. $60 I think is a great deal. You can get Pure Havana for around $75. I would just say maybe try Pure Havana. And plus, maybe you don't like a really strong vanilla. Maybe you don't like the over-the-top sweet cherry note. If you don't like those, then you may actually like L'Homme Ideal more.
Yeah, I think L'Homme Ideal is a dry fragrance to my nose, whereas Pure Havana is more of a wet fragrance, if you will.
Yeah,
so
I can see that.
If you like more of a dry fragrance, this will be the one for you. But if you like more of the moist, some people don't like that word, moist. This fragrance is very moist and succulent and supple.
So final rating, what do you give this fragrance?
I'm going to give it, on the 5-star scale, probably a low 3.
Okay.
It's above a 2, in between a 2 and a 3 for me, but I'll settle on a 3.
Yeah, I'm also going to give this a 3 as well. I think this is a good fragrance, and I generally consider good fragrances in the 3 range. There's nothing wrong with this scent. If you smell this, it's nice, and you're going to smell great. But yeah, overall, it's a good scent, but it really just misses something. I kind of wish that they just added something to the mix that would have pushed it in a different direction. Then you would have gotten, I think, something that would have actually been great. So that's all we have. Let us know what you think of Guerlain L'Homme Ideal down in the comments down below. Do you like it, love it, hate it? Let us know. And of course, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe down below. We love you for it. And I'll have a link down below to Jason 860 Colognes channel. Thanks again for coming on, Jason. Always a pleasure.
My pleasure.
We'll see you next time. We're the Fragrance Brothers. Bye. Did I thank you for coming on the show yet?
I think so.
I don't even remember if I did or not.
No, and I'm pissed and I'm leaving. Moist, succulent morsels.